Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about whether or not it's a good idea to diversify your real estate assets across a number of markets. Let's get started. Welcome back everyone. Today's going to be a good one. We're talking about some strategies in terms of allocating risk among your real estate portfolio. So, I sometimes get the question from my clients, should I buy in a variety of markets? If so, how many? When do I know that it's time? There's a variety of questions that I get as it relates to buying in multiple markets. And I have my own take, and I think everyone comes up with their own plan, right? But a lot of my investors, they're not, they don't own 400 units. They're really people who own between 2 to 4 up to about 20 units. Right. So on that journey, it's an interesting question to ask. How do I best diversify my risk? And I have some friends that, had properties in Memphis and Indianapolis, Alabama. And over the last few years, they've sold all those and pivoted all of Dallas-Fort Worth, which is a fantastic market. They're going to do quite well. But also, what if Dallas-Fort Worth turns purple or blue one day and goes anti-landlord, high regulation, increases taxes, a lot of exposure, right? Or, I have people that invest only in the Bay Area, and right now they might be cash flowing, but I think they have seen with the anti-landlord laws and the regulation and the high taxes that's coming, as well as the mass exodus that's happening in some of the micro markets there. If they own all in one market, they might be a risk there. I have a friend that owns 3 properties in Brooklyn, right? Manhattan. And same thing, he's probably now exposed to that risk. And so it's without a doubt an important question to be asking, how best do I diversify my real estate portfolio to not be in those situations? And so here's what I tell my clients, right? I think it first comes down to what your long-term goal is. And it's always about the goals. So if you're going to be buying properties for the next 5, 10, 15 years and slowly build up your portfolio, then it's okay to eventually diversify. But getting started, I think, there's a few things. The first thing is there's a loan limit, right? So assuming that you're just going to go through the process of buying properties through loans, typically each individual, and if you're married, that would be times 2, has an up to 10 loan limit, right? And that's just that's a Fannie Mae regulation. That's just kind of the way it works. And so in an ideal state, you would have up to 20 properties. And if it were me, and how I do my own portfolio, is I'm open to being in up to 4 markets with 20 properties. And that is because if you're buying how I tell my clients to buy, in that sweet spot, usually 140 to 220 in a price range, you're going to have about $1 million in paper worth at any given time, right? So you don't want to have too much in any one market. So I think if you have 20 properties, you would have roughly 4 markets, 5 properties in each market. But what's more important is the journey to getting there. So it's not a good idea to buy 1 in the first market, the second in the second market, the third in the third market, and so on, because keep in mind tax filing, right? Most states will require you to file a state tax return if you have a property there. I'm currently in 3 markets, I guess 4 markets now, and I have to file a state return tax to each one of those markets. Now, that usually ranges between $600 to $1,000 per year. And if you think about that, if you have 1 property that cash flows $3,000 a year and you need to pay $1,000 for that return, you just wiped away a third of your cash flow. Okay, so if you think about it in a different way, if you have 5 properties, $15,000 in cash flow per year, now you're only wiping away a fraction, right? So it's kind of the same mindset as when I am asked, should I get an LLC? It's like, well, what's your goal? How much will you be putting in capital over the long term, and how much will your asset worth be in cash flow? Because you don't want to be doing these things, these one-off expenses that will be eating away at your cash flow. So my recommendation is get started with one market, become very intimate in the market, know the market intimately rather, and potentially diversify within the market. So maybe you buy one property in a A- class. Maybe you buy two or one property in a B+ class, and then maybe you have a speculation property that's in the path of progress, but maybe it's a C-class property. And across the board, you're in a variety of micro markets within a market, right? And then once you get really familiar with that market, maybe you really perfect the product that you're buying within that market. So that's also a way to diversify within real estate. But once you have 4 to 5 properties out of 20, or about a quarter of your portfolio in one market, then I think it's probably a good time to consider a second one. So with that said, hopefully it was helpful. If it was, be sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And also put some comments down below. I'm curious to know how you go about diversifying your portfolio. We're always open to new ideas here. So talk soon. Thanks.